Okay, so with chapter 5, the only sections that we're going to do again are 5.2 and 5.3. On those particular sections, they're doing the same thing. You're solving systems of equations. It's just on 5.2, we're going to solve them using a technique. And on 5.3, you're going to use a different technique. Okay? To be honest, solving systems of equations, I know probably about 5 or 6 different ways of doing them. I'm only going to go through 2 of them with you. Okay? So this first one is going to be what we call solving by substitution. What does the word substitution mean to you? Have you ever heard of that before?
Yeah.
You have, Quentin? How?
Like substitute teacher?
Substitute teacher? What do? They
replace the regular teacher.
They replace the regular teacher. All right. Any other substitution things come to mind when I just use just the word substitution? Does anybody else have anything?
Substitute numbers.
Substitute a number?
Yeah, said the same thing.
Okay, substitute that. I think of it as, well, there's a couple things. One, I like sports. So I think of substituting in sports, right? So basketball playoffs, not that I'm a basketball fan, but the basketball playoffs, the finals were last night, right? They finished. Isn't that in basketball's description to sub in players?
Yeah.
Like if they get too many fouls or something like that, they have to sub in. Same with soccer, football, hockey. We're subbing in for all those, right? Another thing. How many of you guys like to eat? Okay, I do too. And so have you ever substituted something for another thing? Like for instance, when I go out to eat, not at like fast food restaurants, but like if I were to go somewhere nice, instead of getting fries, I might substitute in sweet potato fries. Or I might substitute in something else. Have you ever done that before?
Yeah.
You're substituting, right? So up on the screen right now, there's 3 steps for this process as far as solving a system of linear equations by substitution. Okay? So what Haley and Ben said as far as subbing in numbers, it's pretty much what we're doing. Okay? So on the first thing that you want to do, your first step, you want to solve one of the equations for one of the variables. Now, before we go any further, can anybody tell me what a variable is? A letter, right. Yeah, that's good enough. Solve one of the equations for one of the variables. Notice, I do not tell you which variable to solve for. I don't say solve for y every time, and I don't say x for all the time, because guess what? It doesn't matter. As long as you solve one of the letters in one of the equations, that's all that matters. Which one you solve for, totally up to you. I'm going to make suggestions when we go through some problems as to which one you should look for, but it doesn't matter what letter you solve for. Everybody good with that?
Yes, sir.
Step 2. Instead of writing substitute, I'm just going to write sub. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Sub the expression from step 1 into the other equation and solve for the letter that's left. And the reason why I say solve for the letter that's left is because if you solve the first one for x, then you should have nothing but y's left over. And if you solve for y in the first step, then you should have nothing but x's left over. It's whatever letter's there. I want you to solve for it. Okay?
Yeah.
Then step 3. You're going to sub the value from step 2 into one of the original problems or equations and solve. So I'll let you guys copy that down. And if you can't read my handwriting, I'm sorry. It's kind of a mix between cursive and not.
That's what mine is.
So if you need me
Mine's way worse than
to
that.
go through another word, let me know. Step 3 again, sub the value from step 2 into one of the original equations and solve. And those are the 3 steps that you're going to do for every problem from 5.2. Every problem on 5.2 is going to be solved using these 3 steps. Okay? I will reference the 3 steps every time we go through a problem. Okay? Give you a little bit more time to get a copy down.
Shall I do mine? Those evening? Shall I talk to us? He scored 7 points the whole like bubble. Huh? He played like 7 minutes in the whole. Yeah. They didn't even eat it. They didn't eat it. Foul? I read it. I don't even think I haven't seen it. He was bad. Imagine they would have given him final. No, that'd be depressing. But he actually did good last game. He's doing pretty good. He had a side, there was a splash. Like the first minute of the
Okay, how we doing?
Good.
You got it? I know it's a lot of writing. I won't usually make you do that much writing. Okay, now that we got that, let's go through some sample ones. And I put mine away like an idiot, so here we go.
Wow, he's good.
All right, so number 1, or example number 1, has y equals 2x minus 9er,
49.
6x minus 5y equals negative 19. So this is the first thing that you got to do. When you look at these 2 problems, and I put them this way on purpose, just so I have more room. Do you see how on your piece of paper, how they put them stacked on top of each other?
Yeah.
They do that because there's more room there than I have room here.
Look at that one.
I put them side by side so that I have more room on my iPad. That's the only reason. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to look at both equations and see if one of them's already solved for one of the letters, step 1's already done for us. But if it's not, we have to make it. So looking at step 1 again, step 1 was solve one of the equations for one of the variables. Is one of the equations already solved for one of the variables?
Yes.
Which one?
Y equals 2x minus 9.
Right, this one's already solved. So I don't have to do step 1. Step 1's already done for me. Okay? Everybody okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Step 2. Here's where the substitution comes in. And I'll use a different color so that you guys see it. What I'm going to do is when they say the expression, they mean this part. I'm going to take that 2x minus 9, and I'm going to plug it into the other equation for that variable. Okay, so here's how it's going to look. It's going to look like 6x minus 5, but then I take the y's guy out, and I replace it with 2x minus 9 equals negative 19. So I want to walk through that again, because that's a really big, important step. I took the wise guy out, said, get out of here, you're not welcome, and replaced it with what it was equal to. I substituted. I took the fries out and replaced them with sweet potato fries. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I took that player out because he was too many fouls and replaced him with somebody that can play that position. Right? Okay? Now, once you do that, the other part to step 2 was now we got to solve for the letter that's still remaining. The letter that's still remaining is the letter x. So in order to solve for x, first thing you need to do is you need to distribute this negative 5 into here. What's negative 5 times 2x?
Negative 10. I thought it was negative 2x.
Negative 10x, my bad.
Is it negative 2x?
Did I say negative 2?
That's a negative 5. You don't see the negative 5?
Yeah, it's supposed to be negative.
Where? Oh, it is.
Oh, damn, good job.
Quentin caught me. Sorry, guys.
Got you back.
Thanks for catching that. Okay, here's what I had to change. This was supposed to say negative 2x minus 9. That's what it had on the sheet. I wrote it down wrong. Okay, Quentin caught me. So I changed this to a negative 2. So negative 5 times negative 2x is positive 10x. Negative 5 times negative 9 is how much?
40 negative, positive 45.
Positive 45. Good. Equals negative 19. Combine like terms. What's 6x plus 10x? 16x plus 45 equals negative 19. Now what? Subtract 45 to both sides. You want to get that x by its lonesome, right?
Yeah.
Good job. 16x equals, what's negative 19 minus 45?
62.
Negative 64.
I didn't actually.
That's okay. You tried. At least you tried. Now what?
Divide 16 into 14.
Divide by 6.
64.
Yep. And x equals
Or negative 4.
negative 4. Holy cow, that was a lot of work for that part, right?
Yeah, then we gotta
And you guys, that's only step 2. But step 2, just so that you guys know, step 2 is going to take you the longest. Because once you have step 2 done, to get step 3 done, to get the other letter, it's a lot simpler. Okay? Step 2 is where all the meat is. Okay? Apparently I must be hungry because we're going to put this in terms of food. Like step 1 was the top of the bun. Here's everything in between. And then now step 3 is the bottom of the bun. I must be hungry.
So do we just put,
Okay?
so for this one, do we use, the 6x minus 5 times 4x and
Okay? So Antoine's making a suggestion. He said, do we use the 6x minus 5y equals negative 19 for step 3? You can. Because step 3 said to plug the answer back into one of the originals.
oh,
Did it say which one?
no.
No. But I'm going to make a suggestion instead, though. Here's why. Do you see where this says x equals negative 4? If I put it in the first one, I just have to multiply here and then combine like terms and I'm done. Instead of multiply, combine like terms, and then divide. Extra steps. So I'm always going to plug it in the one that I solved for. Because to me, it's a little bit simpler. It's a little less work to do. So I'll put that in orange so that you can see step 3. Y equals -2 times -4 minus 9er. Multiply first. What's -2 times -9 or -4?
8.
8. And what's 8 minus 9?
1.
No,
It's not.
-1. Okay. Now, before I forget, because I always seem to do this, do you see how they give you an X and a Y?
Yeah.
The letters are X and Y. The way I have it up here, I have X equals -4 and I have Y equals -1. If you just circle what the X and the Y is on paper, that's great. However, on big ideas, it might have it in an ordered pair format. It's always alphabetical. So when you think about an ordered pair, we have an X and a Y. Remember, we took a quiz on that for chapter 3. So if you wanted to write it, or if it asked you to write it as an ordered pair, you would write -4, because that was the X, -1, because that was the Y. Let's say it's not X and Y that are the letters. Maybe it's S and T. S would come first, T would come second. What if it's M and N? M would come first, N would come second. It's alphabetical. Okay? But that's the first example. Again, step 2 is the big one. That's the one that takes longest. Let's do another one. Y equals 3x plus 14, and y equals -4x. It's the next one on the sheet.
So to do this one,
First of all, step 1, solve one of the equations for one of the letters.
it's already done.
It's already done.
Y equals 3x plus 4.
Beautiful. Here's my next question before you go any further. Are both of them that way?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They both are. Aren't they both y equals right now? Yeah, they are. So we can pick and choose. You get to pick. Step 2, plug one of the expressions into the other equation and solve.
I would just
So what do you want to do? You tell me. What should I write?
3 times -4x is 14. Is that what you would say?
What did you say, Antoine?
Y equals 3.
Nope. Remember, I'm taking the y out.
Oh, so then you put, I don't know.
So let's say I put this in for y in the other equation, like so. What would I write?
3 times. Sound good. Never mind.
Never mind.
Yeah,
What would I write? If I took the y out and replaced it with the other expression, what would it be? So I'm taking this expression here and putting it into the other equation. What would I have? 3x plus 14 equals -4x. Very nicely done. Good job. So that's the start of step 2, isn't it?
yes.
Now we have to solve for the letter that's left over. So you have X's on both sides of the fence right now. Remember our wall that we had way back when? You have X's on both sides. Which side do you want to move the X's to? To the left or to the right?
Right.
Okay. Does it matter? No. So if I subtract 3x over, I get 14 equals, what's -4x minus 3x?
-5x.
Nice job. And again, if you weren't sure about that, it's like this. If I started at Antoine and went 1, 2, 3, 4 steps back, and then 1, 2, 3 steps back. How many steps am I back total? I'm back 7, right? Okay. Then how do I solve for x from here? Divide it by -7. Anybody know what 14 divided by -7 is?
2.
Close. -2. So that's the x. How do I find the wise guy? Besides look around the room.
You do plug into the next one.
I plug it in, right? Okay, Antoine, you've been doing really good today. Which one do you want me to plug it into?
Y equals -4x.
Okay, you want that one? Doesn't matter.
No.
No. So y equals -4 times -2. What's -4 times -2?
+8.
+8. Bingo. We have a winner. Now again, I just circled the answers. If you wanted to, you could write it as -2, -8, like that as an ordered pair. I will take either way. When you put it in your big ideas, though, it might ask you for the ordered pair. Okay, so keep that in mind. X first, Y second. Or S first, T second. Or M first, N second. Or A first, B second. You know, whatever letters it uses. Okay?
Yes, sir.
How we doing?
Good. Really good.
Not too bad?
Yeah. Remember this from summer school.
You remember this from summer school? Good.
There's your answer.
Good, good, good.
Stu, how did my name back?
Next one. X equals 6 wise guy minus 7. 4x plus wise guy equals -3.
So now we have to do
Step 1. Solve one of the equations for one of the letters. Is one of the equations already solved?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So I don't have to move anything.
Don't you? Wait,
Nope. Yeah, because we have x equals right here all by itself.
Oh, I thought it has to be always y equals.
No, that's why when I put on there, Antoine, I didn't say solve for y. I said solve for a variable.
Oh.
You get to choose. So that means all this stuff is going to go in for x. So 4 parentheses 6y minus 7 plus y equals -3. So here comes the meat. Distribute first. What's 4 times 6y?
24y.
What's 4 times -7?
28y. I mean,
They're good to me.
Minus 28. Plus wise guy. Do I have to distribute the 4 to that y? No, it's not in parentheses, so it just gets all by its lonesome, right? Equals -3. Now, 9 times out of 10, this is where people mess this up. When we're doing this part right here, we are just combining like terms. They are not on opposite sides. I'm not subtracting it over. I'm just combining them. What's 24 plus 1?
24.
Yes. So 25y minus 28 equals -3. How do I get y by itself? Add 28 to both sides. Good. So I get 25 wise guy
Equals 23.
equals, try that again,
I mean 25.
equals 25. Now what? Divide by 25. Liz, what's 25 divided by 25? Huh? 1. Good. Nice job. Then what do I do? Not quite done. You found y. Good job. How do I find ax?
Using another equation.
Yeah. I'm gonna do the Glade technique. You ever heard of Glade before? Ever heard that word before? No? They have a commercial. It's called Plug It In, Plug It In. Have you ever heard the Glade plugins?
Wait, are those the scent things?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the scent
I have
things.
those.
Oh.
You have those.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's their motto? Plug it in, plug it in. Guess what we're doing?
Plug it in.
We're going to plug it in. So I'm going to Glade it. Okay? So just kind of like the flip it and reverse it, I was trying to get you guys to remember how to do it. What's 6 times 1?
6.
What's 6 minus 7?
1.
What's 6 minus 7?
1.
No.
Oh, negative 1.
Negative 1. Now, here's where you need to be careful because we found y first and then we found the x second. That doesn't mean that I put them in that order when I read it as an ordered pair. What's the x first?
Negative 1.
What's the y second?
1.
So again, if you're doing it for me on paper, if you just have x equals this and y equals that, perfectly fine. If Big Ideas asks you for an ordered pair, x first, y second. How do you guys feel?
Yes.
Not too bad?
Let's do example 2.
Shut up.
Example 2.
What example?
Has negative x plus y's guy equals 3. 3x plus y's guy equals negative 1. Now, when you look at this problem, I want you to look at it with me just real briefly and say, do I have to do step 1?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I do. I do not have an equation that's set equal to one of the letters right now. I gotta pick. It doesn't matter what letter you pick. It also doesn't matter what equation you use. So if I ask somebody, which letter do you want to solve for? The only thing you can choose is you got to choose X or Y. You can't choose anything else because we don't have any other letters. And then when I ask what equation do you want to use, it doesn't matter. But, the big but in the problem is, the one that I want to pick is typically the one that has a 1 as the coefficient. Coefficient meaning the number in front of the letter. There's a 1 in front of this y right here, so I would want to solve for y out of this one. There's a 1 in front of this y here, so I'd want to solve for this one. I don't want to choose the x in the second equation because if I did, I'd be dividing by 3, and then you got fractions to worry about. Do you want to work with fractions?
No.
No? Me neither.
Why don't you just, can't you just add x?
Yes,
3?
and we'll get there. I don't want to do this because then I'd be dividing by a negative, wouldn't I? If I wanted to get x by itself.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do any extra. I want to keep it as simple as possible. So I pick the letter that has a 1 as the lead coefficient. Again, meaning the number in front. So Antoine made a suggestion that we're just going to add x to both sides on the first equation. So when you did that, you're telling me I want to solve for y in the first equation. Nothing wrong with that. Y equals x plus 3. Did you complete successfully step 1?
Yeah.
Did you solve for one of the letters? Yes, you did. Now, I'm going to take this expression and I'm going to insert it into the other equation for that letter. So here's the substitution piece. 3x plus the y gets thrown away, and what goes in place of the y?
1.
Nope.
0.
Nope. What goes in place of the y? X plus 3. Equals negative 1. So again, I took the y out, threw it away, and replaced it with this stuff. I took the y, trashed it, and put in x plus 3 in its place. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to distribute if possible. What number's here if there's no number?
1.
So what's 1 times x?
1x.
What's 1 times 3?
3.
Yep. These are on the same side. What's 3x plus 1x?
4.
How do I get rid of an add 3?
Subtract it.
And again, it's not the process that gets you in trouble. It's this computation part that gets people in trouble. What's negative 1 minus 3?
Negative 4.
Negative 4. I've had people tell me that the answer is 2, negative 2. I've had a bunch of different parts there, so you got to be careful. It's, again, getting back to this analogy. If I'm standing where Antoine is and take one step back, and then 1, 2, 3 steps back, I'm 4 back from where Antoine was. Not positive 4, and not minus 2 back. How do I finish it?
You have to solve for another
How?
those equations.
What?
Divide
By?
4.
And what's negative 1 divided by 4?
Negative 1.
You found the x. Woohoo! Now what?
Put x in
Add it to the
any
other.
of these other equations.
Now I got to put that negative 1 into the other equation. What's negative 1 plus 3? What's negative 1 plus 3?
I did the other one.
All right. I chose that one.
I subbed it in the original one.
Oh, I chose the easy one.
I've got 4.
You got 4?
Yeah.
Nah. Here's why. If you were to put it in this one, Quentin, you have a negative here
Oh, so,
and a negative there, so 2 negatives make it a
oh,
positive 1, and then you'd have to subtract it over. So what's 3 minus 1?
2.
2. So my ordered pair would be negative 1, positive 2.
Yeah, positive 3.
Okay? What do you guys think?
Pretty good.
All right. Now, those ones are a little bit more tricky.
I hate these ones.
But what I'm going to do then tomorrow, we got about 10 minutes. Let's do one more, and then we'll, tomorrow we'll pick up and do the rest of it, and then I'll give you the rest of the time to work on it.
These are the equations why I failed math. Because I hate these ones so much.
That's Anthony. Yeah. It's a good one too. It's good.
All right. So which letter do you want me to solve for? And in which equation would you like me to do it to?
X plus y equals negative 2.
You want to do the x plus y equals negative 2? What letter would you like to get by itself?
X.
X? Okay.
Easier for you to lie.
It doesn't matter, does it?
All I have to do is subtract x.
Doesn't matter what letter you solve for? No. It doesn't matter. So this time, because we did y last time, we'll do x this time. So I'm going to subtract y to both sides. X equals negative y minus 2. Then again, remember, we're going to take this and we're going to stick it into the x in the other equation. So negative 3. Okay, what next?
Distribute.
Yes. What's negative 3 times negative y?
Positive 3y.
What's negative 3 times negative 2?
Negative 6.
What?
Negative 6.
What's negative 3
Oh,
times negative 2?
6.
Positive 6. Plus y's guy equals 6. Combine my y's. What's 3y plus 1y?
4y.
4y plus 6 equals 6. Now what?
Subtract 6.
What's 6 minus 6?
0.
How do we get y by itself?
Can't.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, you just, when you divide it, you get 0.
Divide it by 4, right? That's okay. You can get 0. Y equals 0. Now, somewhere along the way, I don't know what happened, but this happens to a lot of people. A lot of people get an answer of 0 and they think that they did something wrong. Can you have 0 as an answer?
Yeah.
Absolutely you can. Just because you get 0 for an answer does not mean you did anything wrong. Okay? It's okay. You can have that. Now, plug it back in. X plus 0 equals negative 2. What's x plus 0?
0.
Try again.
1.
X plus 0.
1x.
Just x, right? Equals negative 2. So my final answer, again, negative 2, 0. Okay, so that's where we're going to stop. And then tomorrow, we'll go through that other one, that check for understanding, and then we'll go through the word problem. And then after that, you'll have the rest of the hour then to work on your stuff.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Okay?